The history of Sean is like crazy.
I made a lot of mistakes.
From the moment he released his first single, Sean Kingston had a meteoric rise to fame. Singles like Beautiful Girls, Take You There, and his collaboration with Justin Bieber on Eenie Meenie made him one of the hottest artists of his time at a very young age. Sean Kingston's fast come up in the industry was helped by Myspace. He took advantage of his significant online presence to put himself in the ears of practically everyone. He quickly became one of the biggest creators of dance-friendly hip-hop and dancehall R&B. It was an impressive resume for someone his age, and nobody came close for years. However, after a near-death experience, fake rumors of his death, getting kidnapped over unpaid debts, bad record deals, and a decade of staying away from the industry and the media, Kingston would return to the music scene with mixed responses. Sean Kingston was born Keyshawn Paul Anderson in Miami, Florida. When he was 6, Sean and his family moved to Kingston, Jamaica to seek a better and more comfortable life. But that didn't work out. Kingston attended school there for a few years before his family returned to the US. Things only got worse from there.
I was like homeless, you know what I'm saying, sleeping in the car. It was all, everything was all twisted.
When Kingston was only 11, he was charged with breaking and entering. That would mark the start of various run-ins with authorities for Kingston and his family.
So I was bad.
Over the next few years, he spent 21 days in prison, got court-ordered to attend a boot camp, and ended up homeless, living in a car by himself after his mother got arrested for identity fraud.
When I first met you, your mom was in jail, right?
She was.
Right. Okay.
Mom was in jail.
What?
This is what I'm talking about.
5 years.
That's when he first came out.
5 years.
5 years.
With all the odds stacked against him, the one thing Kingston could hold on to was the fact that he could write amazing music. His talent pushed him to seek out Miami's talent show and earned him a spot on the same stage as big names like Pitbull, Ludacris, and Trick Daddy. It didn't take long for record producer J.R. Rodham to notice Kingston through one of the young star's demo tapes. Rodham signed Kingston to his Beluga Heights label, and Kingston's career hit the ground running. In just a matter of weeks, other labels got word of Kingston's talent and started tripping over themselves to sign him. Eventually, Sony Music won the bid and they released his first official single, Colors, featuring The Game and Rick Ross.
I was a rapper at first.
Sean Kingston wasn't the first in his family to make a career out of music. His grandfather, Lawrence Lindo, was a famous Jamaican reggae producer who worked under the stage name Jack Ruby. But Kingston was on his way to fame and stardom, and he was just 16 years old. His second single, Beautiful Girls, which used a sample of Benny King's Stand By Me, you still hear all over the place today. The track topped Billboard in the US and spent 4 weeks at the top of the UK single charts. But more importantly, it made Kingston a household name not just in the US, but across Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Spain, and the UK, and its broad appeal meant it reached people of all ages. The problem with such a monstrous hit so early is it's hard to replicate, and despite having a huge success early on in his career, it sets unrealistic expectations and pressure. His second album, Tomorrow, featured singles like Fire Burning and Face Drop, which boosted the album's sales, but compared to his first album, which was self-named, it flopped as an album. For context, the Sean Kingston album peaked at number 6 on the Billboard 200 chart, but Tomorrow peaked at number 37. However, he also did co-write Jason Derulo's What You Say that same year, which went to number 1 in several countries and 5 times platinum in the US.
I've been making a lot of hits and stuff behind the scenes.
Fire Burning was another hit that you still hear around today, but not at the same level as Beautiful Girls. If you flip the order these albums were released, it would be an amazing rise, and yet at 19, Sean Kingston's hugely successful songs still managed to be a drop-off. In 2010, Sean Kingston released 2 singles that were collabs with other artists which went platinum but did not appear on his own albums. Letting Go, Dirty Love, which sold 1.1 million copies in the US and featured Nicki Minaj, and the mega hit Eenie Meenie with Justin Bieber, both of which have references online to being removed from his next album for unknown reasons, but nothing definitive about what actually happened. And Eenie Meenie was instead released on Justin Bieber's first studio album, despite being released on Sean Kingston's YouTube. But things were about to take a major turn for Kingston. On a random day in May 2011, Kingston and a female friend were out having a nice time jet skiing in open water when they had an accident that almost took Kingston's life. Sean Kingston was traveling around 35 miles per hour when he miscalculated how high an incoming tide was, resulting in them both being thrown off the vehicle. They slammed into a nearby bridge and Kingston was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. He spent the next few days fighting for his life. After 11 days, when it finally seemed like he was getting better, he felt a pain in his chest that turned out to be a torn aorta. Kingston had emergency open heart surgery, which many people do not survive. Fortunately, Kingston survived it, but it would change the course of his life. The accident led to a series of death rumors about Kingston that became so widespread that even today, some people still believe he died in that accident over a decade ago. Coming so close to losing his life twice made Kingston reassess his values and develop a relationship with God. He released an album, Back to Life, but the album barely made it out of the studio. Between poor promotion for the project, the accident, and death rumors, the album was a disappointment. Kingston took a step back from releasing his own music for many years while he worked out record label issues. He's been tight-lipped about what actually happened, but he has also made mention of record label issues, and it appears around this time that releasing his own music stopped, despite continuing to contribute to major hits for other artists.
I was in like 2-3 bad deals that I had to get out of, that I was actually signed in. I was in a situation that I wanted to get out of.
In 2015, Sean Kingston found himself in another life-threatening situation. In November, he walked into an LA-based jewelry company, Avion Jewelers, to buy a $225,000 watch. He paid $185,000 but couldn't come up with the rest of the money. Or according to him, he chose not to pay the balance because he felt the watch was not worth $225,000. So after failing to or refusing to pay up the remaining $40,000, Avion Jewelers said, you know, we can exchange this piece for a piece priced at $185,000, and Kingston agreed. The exchange was supposed to take place on Tuesday, November 17 in a parking lot in downtown Los Angeles. They agreed to meet at around 1:50 a.m. When Kingston got to the parking lot, he entered a car where they were supposed to exchange the watch. When he entered the car, he claimed that the company's representatives snatched the watch from him and refused to give him another one, and Kingston said he went nuts after this. He demanded the watch back, but they refused to give it to him. Then he claimed they locked him in the car at gunpoint, drove the car to a secluded area, threw him out of the car onto the street. When he eventually got together and called the police referred to the incident as a kidnapping. After the incident, Kingston called out Avion Jewelers on Twitter in a post saying, "Never trust Avion Jewelers, period. Shady business, God never misses anything, so we will leave this in his hands. But just know karma." He also made another post telling his fans he was alright, saying, "Love all the fans, I'm okay and safe, just hurt to work so hard for something and have someone thinking they can just take it from you, SMH." The LAPD investigated the case, but despite Kingston's appeals that he was kidnapped and Avion Jewelers were acting shady, the police deemed it to be a business disagreement. This scenario was weird for many reasons, because firstly, why did Sean Kingston agree to make a deal in the middle of the night in a strange area? Why not just walk into the store and exchange the watch if that was what was really happening, and during the day like a normal person? Something was off about the incident, and the only good thing is that at least Sean Kingston didn't get hurt in the process.
If any jewelry lost what you heard about, you ain't hearing about no more, because either they got paid or they was lying and they didn't get paid. So
through all this, Kingston wrote songs for other artists like Chris Brown and Lil Mosey and tried to get out of his deal with Epic. He ended up having to buy himself out of the contract and getting complete control of his music. After 2013, Kingston did make guest appearance on other artists' songs, but he didn't release any song that was exclusively his until 2016. From then, he released a few tracks here and there and started working on his 4th studio album. And finally, in September 2022, he released the album called Road to Deliverance. The album features tracks like Love is Wonderful featuring Travis Barker and Darkest Times featuring G Herbo, inspired by Kingston's difficulties over the last few years, including the jet ski accident. In 2021, Sean Kingston made news for getting violent with a music video director who had been living with him. Kingston allegedly attacked the man in the middle of the night after the man had refused to work around 2 a.m. Kingston went crazy over this, punched the man, asked him to pack his bags and kicked him out. The man left and filed a report with police on his way out with a picture of his bruised face. At least that's what was alleged, but Kingston has denied having anger issues and nothing came out of the incident.
even in my darkest times, it's not really like somebody else's darkest times.
Sean Kingston had a tough childhood and he had his fair share of ups and downs. Even though he might never achieve the kind of fame he had back in the day, he has still found ways to enjoy his life and make the best out of it.
I got invested underestimates. I'm smart with my money, man. I'm Jamaican. You know, we got 30 jobs. You think I only do music? You're wrong.
And one of those ways is having a rotation of women who keep him happy. In 2021, Kingston made headlines by appearing on the Angela Yee podcast Lip Service, where he talked about his sex life. He has an entire lineup of starters that he keeps in rotation, as well as a 5-member bench. His complete rotation comprises 10 women all over the country that he does not like using protection with.
So you don't like anyone?
No. I like 7 out of the 10. I like.
One can only assume that they are all beautiful girls. And surely that line alone deserves a like and subscribe. And if you made it this far, make sure to watch one of these other videos too.